Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into another episode. This is episode 6 of this. This one will be a little bit different as this one's going to be pure voiceover, but don't worry, there's no issue with the footage or anything. You have the actual footage of me, and I will talk a little bit over it as we're going. Today, as I'm recording this, it is Halloween Eve, so that means we only have one more episode out before we actually get into what we're doing, which is fairly exciting. I'm going to mute my overall sounds. I forgot to do that before that. Hopefully that doesn't mess with anything too much on it. But with Halloween right around the corner and one final video after this before we update into 1.2 of Alpha, leaving us in a very interesting spot. So my idea for this was a little bit more Halloween themed, more something like that. As over the weekend, last weekend I should say, I ended up going to a work party for Halloween, and I ended up having to watch the original Halloween movie for the first time. I'm not a big person into horror or into movies in general. I honestly don't watch too much of them at all. I consume mostly YouTube and I watch sports, and that's basically where all my online entertainment goes to is into those two fields. And we went in to watch this movie, and after getting done with the movie, I think it sucks. I think it's one of the worst movies I have ever seen. Well, I know that it was a different time. It's from the late 70s. Vibes were different. It pioneered all the horror movies. I get that. But it was really bad. Like, the pacing was horrible. There was not much scariness. I'm not gonna like use its predictability against it because it made the tropes, so there's no getting mad at it for being predictable when it is the reason things are predictable now. So it's not gonna get knocked there. It's gonna be grandfathered in on all that. But I seriously didn't understand why it was very, very much worse than what it was. I watched the first Jason movie, and that one it wasn't good, but it was much better than this one. And there's a lot of other little things. Like it gave me the feeling of when like you see people make indie films, and then the whole point of it is that there's not much talking, and it's like one fixed camera point, and not much happens on it. That's what this felt like to me, where there was really long drawn out scenes of nothing happening and very confusing plot. Another part of it is all the women characters in it looked very similar to it on my part. Maybe it was me half paying attention to it. Maybe it was me not really being into the movie, but like I didn't know any characters' names beside I think the little boy and the little girl, and that was it. And besides, I knew nothing. And so when character spoiler get killed in the Halloween horror movie, I wasn't sure which ones were which and which ones were important to the main cast. And I was like, oh, there goes another one, and stuff like that. Another point to it compared to the Jason, I think it's Friday the 13th, what those movies are. Those ones were much more censored than this movie. I did not expect a movie from the late 70s like this to show as much as it did on of the characters, which was a little unexpected for me, right? Because right at the beginning shot of it, they show something, and then towards the end of it, they show more, and I was like, not fully expecting nudity in a movie like this. Obviously, that's just what they did in those old horror movies, but typically, it was they allude to it, they don't show it, but like they actually showing it is what caught me off guard slightly because I figured, still then was a no-no to do that type of stuff in Hollywood and all that. Another good point, I actually ended up looking up some Reddit things that some other people thought about it. The woman character, she was very stupid. Like, there's multiple times where like she not even like oh in hindsight it's like no she literally like would be sitting next to the killer and just stop and look the other way and just lay there so he could get up and stab her. Like generally stupid ideas. Like she should have been killed off her natural selection at this rate. Like she should not be alive. I don't understand why we were rooting for her when she's gonna kill those children she was watching. Like, I don't really get what the point of that was. And I guess also going into having an idea of how um the character works also did really help with me understand certain things like the him not being able to die, the thing with the knives, little things like that. Obviously, I'm assuming the next installments of the Halloween movie are a lot better, but at least in my regard, this first one makes me not want to watch the rest of them. I know that they recently did one in like 2018. They like redid it, and a lot of people were basing it off of that one, saying it was much quicker paced and better. But I don't even want to watch it because there was a lot of really strange things. And another scene was they really went to a school and they watched one of the little boys, and then that was it. It didn't know they went nowhere else from there. Like they went up to him like he was gonna go steal him or something, and then and just cut away to the next thing. Like it felt like it was an incomplete scene and they didn't have an idea for it. It was it was very weird. It was very strange, and I really don't know what they were going for in this movie. It was definitely I don't even want to say it was pioneering because I mean it was, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a hater here, but the movie generally was very, very bad. The only good parts of the movie was at least Michael. That's his name. I couldn't think. It's Michael Myers. Michael was at least good. He was mysterious. You didn't know what was happening with him, and other little things like that. So that is the one thing that is the good thing about it. And, or I guess also if you do like less actiony, less scary movies, it's a great one for you because I'm not a big horror fan. I don't like jump scares because I mean they get me really easily, and I can easily I flinch at a lot of things or can get easily jumped. So it's obviously not a bigger one down my alley because I don't watch horror or movies. So it was not aligning to me on multiple parts, but it's still yeah, I don't know. I don't know where else I want to go off of that, but I was thinking about it and I wrote that down on my cardboard. So as you guys know, I have a piece of cardboard where I've been writing down my ideas and things I had planned for this. And literally one of them is why the first Halloween movie sucks. And this was before I even looked online into it to see that people had the general consensus about it. So it does make me feel a little bit better that I like, I'm not crazy and this movie does actually suck. Yeah, but on the Halloween note, it's another fun, exciting year coming out as we got, you know, the day upon us, and hopefully in our world we'll go find some pumpkins tomorrow. And I don't know if they have carved pumpkins or not. I don't I don't remember what you can do for. I think there's jack o' lantern. Wait, okay, no, I was thinking all back. Pumpkins are always carved. That was like 5 or 6 years ago that they decided to make them. You have to carve the pumpkins. So the pumpkins are gonna be carved. So we can make jack o' lanterns. So we may end up putting one outside the house or something like that. But that is going to be a future me problem that I'm going to try to figure out. So I'm more than fine with doing that, honestly. So should be interesting on that regard. So I guess I'll talk a little bit about the gameplay, what's going on as you were seeing. First thing was I was not a big fan of like looking at the roof and like looking how similar it was upstairs. So I said, fine, you know what? I'll bite the bullet. I'm gonna flip everything. So we flipped the upstairs down to wood, and then we also are gonna flip the stairs from stone into wood, just to give a better contrast and to get the thing a little better. Side note, stairs are so slow at breaking. Like it's so painfully slow to break them. I don't understand why in the world they were so slow. And the fact that they dropped just cobblestone, like, give me the stair back. Now I have to spend six more to get. And it's just a whole thing. I don't want to go down there and ramble about it, but it was a whole different side thing that I didn't really want to get involved into and have to deal with. Sorry, I'm out of breath there. I was rambling, hardcore rambling for about 9 minutes, and looking at this, we got another 16 minutes we gotta fill out with content. So I guess I'll spring more towards the channel side and stuff like that. I just released episode 5 last night, and I mean it's okay. I mean the problem is the first video ended up doing so well, and if you're watching this, thanks for sticking around because we're about 9 minutes in. This is typically where people end up clicking off beside the last video because it was longer one. We talked about YouTube inspirations, and the runtime was about 40 minutes, and the average was 20 off of the I think 7 viewers who saw it. So that's really cool seeing that the people who watched it were at least really interested because I would rather have lower views of people who really love it than high views of people who click off. Because the problem on the first one was my voice was quiet. I had a good premise, like I have a great idea, but it just wasn't that good. So the 400 or 500 views it got, only like a good 20, 30 of them were like, oh, that's interesting. Left a like, commented, or subscribed off of it. So the problem is now we got to kind of restart and rebuild it because I failed on the first episode because like I got the growth, I got the boom, I just wasn't able to make it something people wanted to convert. So my idea is to work on some shorts and stuff to promote this and other little things as the series progresses and we move on upon updates. Another idea is like a recap videos of like all the stuff that we went through and things we did. But the thing is with it being like not tons of progress each episode and me, walking around trying to figure out what I want to do next. There's not much to show off, so they might have to be done in like eras like, oh, here's what happened in alpha, here's what happened in beta and stuff like that. Well, the good thing is alpha's going to run till the end of the year. So in December, I think December 20th is when we update to beta 1.0, which will be super exciting because we are slowly be moving on into the next era of Minecraft and as we slowly get towards first of all food and then also towards the full release versions, which we are still I think we're still about a year and a half away from that. So, I mean, we got time. We probably got another 200, 300 episodes where we get there. So, we won't have to worry too much about it. But, it is a good thing to think about and plan for as we get ready for the future and other little things like that. Oh, I don't know why I'm just standing still. I went through this footage and I cut it, but I guess I didn't cut it well enough. So, now we got some dead space of me standing down here thinking about what's next. Oh, there we go. We're back moving. Don't you worry. It's weird watching this, like trying to think of how my brain was like thinking for it, as I'm like, wait, why did I do that? Because this wasn't too old of footage. I recorded this, I think, 2 days ago. I just didn't get a chance to voiceover. I was gonna voiceover it earlier and have this thing posted sooner today, but my voiceover was a bit delayed, so it's not exactly what I planned on. And then I also did a cool thing for an idea to time lapse the night, as you'll see that I'm gonna do. I was messing with it in the editor, figuring out how quick to throw it at. I ended up going 7 times speed on it because it was interesting to watch the AIs of the mobs running around and stuff and seeing what they're gonna do. Also, alpha is so bright. Like there's multiple times like when it become daytime, like, oh, it's day, and then it got brighter, and then it got even brighter. Like the just super bright designs of the grass really have caught me off guard as they are super bright and stuff like that. As you see, we are into the time lapse now. But when the day hits, you'll see what I mean. Because like, you gotta watch by the torches. Because like, if the block around the torch is not lighter, is not as matching the light, then it's gonna get brighter. As like the darkness disappears, and but then there's one frame where it gets like this. Watch, and then it gets even brighter. And it caught me off guard multiple times watching the grass, and like, it kind of hurts your eyes looking at it because you're like, geez, why is these textures so bright and it gives off that old alpha look. The worst thing about this is that we're losing this. We only have like 2 episodes left of this pretty grass, and then we're moving into the darker one as biomes and stuff are about to be introduced, which is first off kind of funny the fact that we were playing before biomes existed. So that'll be interesting. I wonder what the F3 will end up showing for what this biome is. I'm assuming it'll be just like a classic biome or like just plains. I'm assuming data went in to make it reverse back to how it was, but that's not something I'm very confident in as I've never really moved a world up. Obviously, I've done the thing where you take a world and you just slowly migrate up and you look at the train transformation, but it's been many years. I think I did that before 1.16, 1.17. So, you know, train changed even more then, which will also be a whole nother thing to think about. Oh, audio's back on. Let me cut that. Because I don't know if I want too much audio in the background of this as it might mess up the mojo we have for this. Because I'm talking a little bit quieter than I typically do, but it's just because I'm recording this later in the day and I didn't get a good chance to do it when I'm louder and more enthusiastic about things. So you know how that goes. But that's all I had for that part. I'm trying to think now off the top of my head. I wasn't trying to make any cuts or anything about this. Okay, yeah. So last episode's, well, actually, let's fight these creepers first. I actually thought I was really impressed by the way that I somehow managed to easily take care of the creepers like that. Because I didn't think that I thought it was doomed because I had 2 of them coming up on me and like they're gonna double explode and all my stuff's gonna disappear. As I've yet to lose any items and only 1 death, literally in the first episode. Also, I forgot you can't throw chicken eggs. I was like, oh, I might as well chuck the chicken egg, but then it didn't disappear. I'm like, fine, I'll just toss it in my chest. But somebody last episode, 2 episodes ago, commented that we should make a castle, and I thought that's a cool idea. So I'm gonna mentally jot that down now and have some let you guys know that I read the comment. If I remember, I'll throw it on screen here. So thank you to whoever you were that submitted the comment, and I think we can plan on that because I do have some very basic plans here. You'll see that we are flattening some of the land here to make room over towards the train station, which I have talked about a couple times, and then in the next episode you'll see I talk even more about how the planes want to go with the train station. Right now it was just, oh yeah, I want to put it over here and put a bridge. But then I get some other ideas what I want to do with that flat area down and some other stuff like that. So super cool, a lot of big stuff coming down the line in the future as we're gonna keep building and keep expanding. I'm excited for the minecarts, honestly. It'll be a fun way to travel around the world and be able to go through more. And the big thing is just slowly filling the world and just getting stuff done because it's fun to just slowly see your ideas come to life. I think that's why I've always enjoyed this game is because the amount of creativity you get, but then also the freedom and I guess freedom does play hand in hand with creativity, but I guess it'd be more of the ability to watch your own decisions turn into more and have a lot of fun with it, and like I said, the construction aspect of it. So I don't know, maybe I was meant, in another life I was meant to be a construction worker or like a construction developer, but it's always interesting to think about. And so I was looking here at this, and I was like, okay, what do I do for um that slope up because I want to keep the original land close to the base as untouched as I can, but it just doesn't look good. So I end up cutting the hill in half and then editing the terrain slightly. I think I still may end up cutting it in a little bit more, but nothing too insane or crazy on it because I don't really want to go overboard and balls to the walls on it, as one could say, and just keep it simple for now. Another thing is I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with these flowers because I don't think I want to make the flowers go all the way around the path. It might just be like a one-off thing that I'm going to end up doing with it. So that's a big thing. Okay, now you're on screen. You're gonna end up seeing me work on the bridge because we talked about the bridge in the past, and then we actually we'll probably not actually build the full-on bridge for see what episode is it, 6, probably not into the double digits, maybe 10 or 11. We work on that and then we start laying the foundation for the station because we got to think of which way we want tracks to run and how far they're going to run and if I have to do bumping and little things like that because that's what I'm trying to figure out now is how the power is going to work and how to mess with that stuff. Another side thing I want to do is I want to look into some alpha redstone. See if there's any cool old contraptions. Maybe there's some etho lab videos and stuff like that that will show me how to do things. Because another cool side point of this series, what we could do would be to just bring up old, not even just full on YouTubers, but tutorials and like concepts and stuff that people have easily forgotten about. Because you don't know what was left back here in this ancient YouTube. Just gotta think about it. Most people who were making content around this time just don't exist anymore. They're not in the game. They're gone. It's kind of sad. There's a music video. It's called Minecraft is Just Awesome. It was a parody of a song similar to it. I forget what the name of the what that song is, but basically it just took like the 30 or 40 YouTubers and they all just sang little parts of the song about why Minecraft was awesome. Like somebody liked killing the Ender Dragon, someone liked playing with redstone, that was Seth Bling, and then there was tons of other ones like killing zombies, building, playing with friends, and the top comment on this music video, it always resonates with me. It takes every single person in that video in order and shows what happened. And 99% of them just quit YouTube or just were never heard of again. And it's really sad to see that cuz like ancient or this golden age of Minecraft had so many wonderful YouTubers and so much just awesome stuff going on that was just forgotten and lost. Which these are people you can never hear from again. When I was doing research for last video, I was looking at some of Snappy's helpers. I went back and I was looking at it was Choo Choo Gaming. He used to play, and he used to be in the videos with him. He was an alien. He was another tall guy. He had a side a Cobblemon series he did with Squid, and little things like that. And it's like, oh man, whatever happened to him? And I look into it, and it's like, oh, he quit YouTube in 2017 and had barely ever been heard of. So then I'm like, okay, let's do some scouring. I head to Reddit. I look at some threads. I go to look at his Instagram, and before I know it, I have 8 tabs open, and I'm like, oh, why am I looking into some random guy I haven't thought about in like 5 years? And it just shows how YouTubers so quickly just disappear and how new ones will just fill the void as there's just so much content on here that you stop watching one, you find three more that are similar or have their own little niche. Like there's tons of cool stuff. Like when I mentioned the two Minecraft YouTubers who inspired me, I left out tons. There's tons of amazing ones that I watch. IBX Toy Cat, Log Swamp's a recent one. Popular MMOs was another huge one, but he didn't inspire like my actual like gameplay. He would have been one I talked about in other type of stuff. There's a few other of Stampy's helpers. I'm trying to think of a few other guys, but I can't really remember who else there is. But there just was there's a lot of these people that if I went through and made a list, I'm like, wow, I can't believe that it's been so long and I've forgotten about you, or the fact that you haven't made a video in 8 years. That's one of the saddest things is whenever I find a channel or somebody who made Minecraft content and I go back to look at it and I click and they just don't have it anymore. Oh, I thought of one. Oh, Mumbo. I used to watch Mumbo back when he first joined Hermitcraft or when it was still in its infancy. I love watching Mumbo in, I think this is season 2 or season 3 when he built, when it was, I think it was called Get the Ball Rolling, where he literally just talked in his voice. He talked in his nice monotone voice, as I was saying a lot of YouTubers from this time did, which it just feels really nostalgic. And then he also, another thing that it was, he just softly talking and just building little things. He wasn't crazy. He wouldn't want crazy content. He wasn't overly loud. He wasn't really like kind of like he is now, where he's just like really self like, oh my gosh, what if this doesn't look good? What if I do this, and that? It was just that he was a little bit more confident in his ability, or like he didn't play into it more because maybe I think he still did it a little bit back in those days, but he didn't like trying to think of the way of wording it. He wasn't crazy about, oh, I'm a bad builder, I can't do this. He was just like, I'm just gonna try this, and he's just gonna have fun with it, and he did. And it's really cool watching old Hermitcraft and stuff like that, which is another great example because most people back from them then are gone. Like they were old creators. Literally, the only people who are left from there are going to be, let's see. Etha was on Minecraft, so he's not a good example, but it was we got Mumbo, we got X, we have Joe, Tinfoil Chef was, RIP to him. I think he ended up passing like year and a half ago at this point. And there's only a couple others. So we were yeah, it's just that most of those people are now just gone and they're no longer in the series. There's another guy that I cannot remember, but he came back in season 6 when I started watching Green on there, and he came on. He was there for like 5 or 6 episodes. He was known as an old guy, and then he just disappeared off the map, and then never did anything. And then Green like claimed his islands and did stuff with them. I cannot for the life of me remember what his name is, but it's people like that who come on Minecraft for a little bit, and then before you know it, they end up just dipping, and that's really it for them. And speaking of it being it for them, I think that's going to be about it for me. This episode was incoherent. It was me rambling, realizing, oh crap, I got 24 and a half minutes. Let me get something planned. Let me do something interesting, and that's really gonna be it. So I hope you guys did enjoy this. It was definitely different on my end. Next episode is going to be the last one in Alpha 1.1.2_01. Next time will be it. It'll be emotional. We'll be saying goodbye to the grass. No, I'll be honest. I don't realize it's our last episode to write the end of it. So that doesn't really help. Well, that's it for me. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.